Alrighty. Just get my notes up. Alright. Hi, my name is Ethan Harris. Today I'm going to be teaching all of you guys about conflict management. See that you're all college students. I see that you probably all have worked jobs before. You definitely understand how challenging it can be to work with coworkers. You all have relationships. You all have personal relationships, whether they be friends, family, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, da 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 da. Conflict happens in every single one of these relationships. I'm sure you can all think of times when you've gotten into a conflict and just didn't go your way. You couldn't figure out what you wanted to say. I know all of us, we all stand in the shower thinking of what we could have said and how we could have said something better, different. I'm going to teach you guys pretty much how to approach conflict so that it can benefit workplace relationships as well as your personal relationships. So, a little bit about this. I designed this training program for my capstone project. So, basically, what I did was I had my group of participants, they all took a survey on conflict management and what they thought about it, their attitude towards it. Did they run away from conflict? Did they embrace it? Just these questions to get an accurate picture of what they thought of conflict, how they manage it. Just wanted to get a broad picture of that. They scored very low on the survey, as expected. They avoid conflict. They're not sure if they're too good at it. They get lost in their words. So then I went through this training with my participants. It went very, very well. And then after about 2 weeks, I had them retake the survey. And then after they retook the survey, the percentage went up 160%. They were confident in conflict. They didn't avoid it. They let their emotions give them the confidence to want to bring up the issues that they felt were necessary. Like, there's just a complete change in how people approach conflict. So I'm going to kind of show you guys what that training looked like. So first, topic goals. What do we want? So when we are in a conflict, everyone has a goal, whether it's a personal goal, it's a group goal, there's going to be goals. So there's 4 major types of goals that William Wilmot in his book Interpersonal Conflict wrote about. They're called TRIP goals. So we have topic, relationship, identity, and process. What are those? Well, the topic is simply, what do you want? What is the goal of this? What is the goal of the conflict? What would you like? Second would be relational. How do you want to be treated in a relationship? And then you have identity goals, which is how you want to be perceived or saving face. And then process goals is how communication will occur. So before you even get started in the conflict, it may seem a little formal, but you want to go through these goals in mind so you can both be on the same page about what you are in a conflict about. All right, guys. So next is after we've established the goals, we have to learn the types of conflict styles. So there are 4 major conflict styles that I found. We have 1 being avoidant, 2 dominating, 3 integrating, and 4 collaborative. So what are all those differences? Number 1 is avoidance. This is the worst one that you can have. You avoid conflicts. You don't want to rock the boat. You just want to avoid conflict. This doesn't solve any issues. All it does is it keeps your personal issues inside, and then resentment builds. It's just not a good look. Second is dominating. This is another bad version of conflict style. It's I want what I want, and what you want doesn't matter. I'm just going to argue for what I want. It's not what we want either. Third conflict style, we're getting a little better. There's some collaboration going on, but not quite. For number 3, it's let's work for what you want. So I may be participating in this conflict in an enthusiastic way, but I'm not bringing up my personal issues. I just want to make you happy. It's a bit avoidant, but it's better than just flat out avoiding the conflict. And then lastly, number 4, is collaborative. This is where I want all of you guys to be. It's let's work for what we both want. We want to reach a compromise. So you don't want to avoid the issues that you have, and you don't want to be too dominating in this conflict. You want to be able to come together and form a collaborative conflict so that both parties will benefit from the conflict. Let me pull up some notes real quick. All right. You guys are maybe asking, why is this so important? Why does conflict matter? Well, let me explain real quick. So conflict management, it's very, very important. It's not just in human resources, but any field in which other people work in relationships. So being able to navigate conflict in a constructive and efficient way is a great tool to have in your arsenal. The stat right here says that over $359 billion of money is lost every year because of conflict issues in the workplace. When you're in conflict with coworkers, resentment builds. You don't get as much work done, and it's just distracting. Like we get distracted by conflict. We don't want to go into work because we feel like we're in a toxic environment. And while that may be true, there are ways in which this training states for you to be able to learn how to argue efficiently. And so, one of the best ways to do that I've found is through managing emotions. So, I love this graph. This is from NPR. We have this one guy who is seeking conflict with the devil horns. This guy just wants to cause problems. Probably we can assume his style would be dominating. Next, we got this person who's completely checked out. They're going on vacation in 2 days. Not a care in the world. Head in the clouds. They're probably going to be more avoidant or integrating. Number 3, we have depressed about criticism. This person's probably leaning towards avoidant. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want conflict. Same with this second guy, avoiding conflict. Doesn't want anything to do with it. And this last person, tired of everyone's feelings. So as you can see, all these people feel some sort of way about conflict, whether it's a negatively, like they're avoiding it, or they're like loving it, which is, you shouldn't love conflict, but I want you guys to be confident in yourselves to enter a conflict knowing it's going to be iron sharpening iron, and that you guys are constructively arguing in this conflict rather than tearing each other down. It's very, very important. So one of the best ways I find conflict to be managed is through managing your emotions. What does that look like? Well, first, don't suppress your emotions. Emotions are a good thing. You should never suppress them when you want to get into a conflict. Not want to get into a conflict. You guys know what I'm saying. So before you enter a conflict, say you have an issue with your brother. They keep using your brother or sister. They keep using your soap in the bathroom, whatever. Let those feelings encourage you to bring them out. Get upset about it, feel those things, and if it drives you to enter the conflict, that's a good thing. But let those angry emotions, check them at the door. Don't bring them into the conflict, because if you come into a conflict and you just start spitting fire and everyone's angry, it's not going to be constructive. There's more damage to be done than good. It's just not something you want to bring into a conflict. So what you should do is, let's create a little chart. Here's the event. Think, feel, and do. Events happen all day long. We interpret these events and think about them. So, something happened to you. Let's think about it. When you think about what you think about an event determines how you feel. You're angry about the soap being used. Feel it. How you feel determines how you're going to react and respond. Don't propel those emotions onto the other person, but propel yourself to want to have these conversations. So, how you react and respond determines the next event. So, this is very, very important. When we are leaving our emotions at the door, that allows us to be able to argue in a collaborative and it allows us to be able to collaborate in a way that is constructive. So when we check actually, let me step back a little. When we finally figure out what we're angry about, we've established the topic. Okay, we're both on the same page about the soap. Number 2, okay, we're both baseline emotionally. We're not angry, we're not upset, we're ready to have an adult conversation. And then number 3 is figuring out each other's conflict styles. So if I know that the other person is a very dominating conflict style, that's going to help me in the long run, because I'll know how they think and feel. Really what conflict is letting each other's emotions be shown but not dictate. So it's important that we both know in the conflict what the other person is truly feeling, because feelings are real whether they have a right to feel this way or not. So once you get all that out of the way, then we can finally sit down and have the conversation of the conflict. Hey, it makes me feel upset that you're using my soap in the bathroom. The other person, well, it's there, it's shared, it's communal. Okay, how do you respond to that? Well, how about let's do a collaborative solution to this? How about you pay me money for the soap that you use, and I will happily buy it. The other person will be like, oh, well, that makes sense considering you buy it and I use it. Yeah, that's good. That would be an example of a collaborative conflict. And that is what I ultimately want you guys to be able to do in your personal lives. Your relationships in workplace, in romances, friendships, conflict is going to be evident in all of those. How you choose to react and respond in conflicts will ultimately build each other up in these conflicts. Let conflicts build trust between one another. Because if you don't have any issues with your spouse, that's not a real relationship. If you have too many issues with your spouse, that's not good. But if you have a normal amount of issues, and you guys are both able to sit down and be adults, express how you're feeling, and actually work towards a collaborative solution, then you are in the clear. And so, if you guys take anything away from this, I would just say establish your goals, check the emotions at the door, but let those emotions drive you to be able to feel what you're feeling and bring it up to the other person. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you guys learned a thing or two. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.